There it goes. I see it now. Hey everybody, this is Shadowjon77 Jon for short, and this is gonna be my first video on YouTube. Hooray! The game I'm doing? Okami. Once upon a time in faraway land, there was a tiny village by the name of Kamiki. Legend tells of a horrible beast that threatened the residents. It also tells of a wolf that risked it all to protect them. Controlling the very fabric of existence, this wolf stood up against the beast many times. It sized and banished the darkness. Earth and Wolf's valiant act ushered in an era of tranquility. The villagers' hearts swelled with respect and adoration of the wolf. This has got to be one of my favorite games. I don't think there's going to be much actual playing in this one though. It's a very long intro. But it's an extremely good game with amazing music. Okami. Love this game so much. And let's begin. I'm gonna start a new game. I love this game so much. I love the music too. Get my Jones. Yes, familiar much? Long, long ago, timely hamlet town known as Kamiki lay nestled in a grove of proud and beautiful cherry blossoms. Each and every tree around them quiet bird was honored as a god. However, the village was not without its dark secrets. To satiate the appetite of Orochi, fearsome cave-dwelling beast, a young maiden was offered as sacrifice at the annual festival. With a body like a mountain and 8 heads mounted on necks the size of tree trunks, its blood-red eyes were said to curse anyone who gazed into them. No one dared disobey the horrific beast. I love Jones. When the night of the sacrifice drew near, a mysterious white wolf appeared outside the village. This wolf, its coat as brilliant as snow, was dubbed Shiranui. The wolf kept a watchful eye on anyone who ventured outside of the village and made a habit of patrolling the streets at night. People assumed the wolf to be a familiar of Orochi. One villager took it upon himself to face the fearsome Shiranui. The warrior Naji attempted many times to challenge the wolf, but his attempts were thwarted by Shiranui's swift movements. Before long, the night of the accursed festival had arrived. A white-plumed arrow heralded over the coming sacrifice. Piercing the sky, the arrow sunk its shaft squarely into the home of Nami, the village's most beautiful maiden. Naji, harboring a secret love for Nami, was enraged by this sign. Determined to put an end to Orochi once and for all, Naji traveled to the beast's cave in the place of his beloved. The Moon Cave, a place as dark as evil itself, served as Orochi's home. As Naji stood bravely before the entrance, a beast appeared, eyes glowing crimson upon 8 thrashing necks. Orochi stood tall before him, anxious for another sacrifice. Naji leapt with an incredible grace, swinging his blade valiantly. On and on he sliced, well into the moonless night. But Orochi's hide was like steel. The blade left nary a scratch. At long last, Naji, his energy spent from the intense battle, dropped to his knees, fatigued and grasping for breath. He knew he was staring death in the face. It was then that the wolf appeared. As if to protect Naji, it stood its ground before Orochi. In the darkness of the cave, the wolf's coat shone brilliantly. Alas, it was Shiranui, the wolf that dwelled outside the village. Bearing its fearsome claws, Shiranui leapt forward toward Orochi. Orochi reared its terrifying head, readying for fangs for battle. The two beasts struggled wildly, thrashing in the darkness. Mysterious and terrifying, the spectacle continued. Shiranui summoned gusts of divine wind to counter Orochi's flames. As Orochi closed in on Shiranui, sharpening claws glistening, a gigantic tree suddenly sprouted forth, shielding the wolf. Shiranui fought gallantly to gain the upper hand. However, Orochi, protected by a mystical power, was not easily bested. Shiranui, covered in gashes, majestic coat dyed crimson, stood exhausted before the mighty Orochi. Orochi saw a chance to strike what would be the final blow, but Shiranui refused to give in. With the last ounce of strength, the majestic wolf gazed heavenward and unleashed a mighty howl. Suddenly, the black clouds overhead disappeared. The light from above glinted off Naji's sword as a beacon of hope. Guided by his sword, Naji, who had been taking shelter in the shadows, stood proudly to face his adversary, channeling all his strength into his scarred and battered arms. He leapt ferociously toward Orochi, and his sword poised high. The golden sword danced in his hands like a puppet on a string. One by one, Orochi's fearsome heads separated from their owner. Orochi's broken body collapsed in a lake of its own blood. In that instant, the curse had plagued the villagers was lifted. As the battle subsided, the sun shone once again in the sky. Shiranui had succumbed to Orochi's poison and struggled to breathe. Naji scooped the beast into his arms and returned to Kamiki. When they reached the village, Shiranui was no longer moving. The village elder gently stroked the wolf's head. In response, Shiranui let out a hoarse and pitiful bark. Then he closed its eyes and drifted off as if into slumber.